Hari Om Namaskar. The Avatara concept. Nowadays, everyone claims to be an avatara. Every other Babaji, Guruji, Mataji, Pitaji, and so on is an avatara. Not just avatara, but the greatest and the highest avatar. Who makes them avatars? Not just they alone, but every schoolboy becomes an expert in the science of avatara making and knows how to nominate avatars like they nominate for Oscars. The unfortunate state of Sanatana Dharma is this: many who begin as simple devotees with some tilak, dress, or a beard end up becoming gods themselves. In Christianity, however great a saint, he or she cannot claim to be beyond Jesus Christ. That's the upper limit. Not so in Sanatana Dharma. Here, anyone who meditates for 5 minutes becomes a strange man initially, a lunatic later, a powerful person subsequently, and soon a god himself, the greatest avatar. They begin by worshipping Shiva or Rama or Krishna, and gradually, due to their singing and lecturing talents, and maybe miracle talents also, they claim themselves to be gods. Avatars are created due to several reasons. One, sycophants, praisers, some followers wanting to gain financially and materially from the popularity of their gurus keep them at such states by praising them constantly. If the person himself or herself has no purity, no sadhana, etc., they cannot digest such praise and they think they are really indeed gods themselves. Number two, advertisement machinery. Number three, devotees and disciples are a great problem. These devotees, people who seek material only, not spirituality, are worried if they are going to the right Babaji or Mataji. So they want to convince their neighbors, families, and friends that they are following someone who is very big. Indeed, so big that all the ministers fall at his feet. He does not touch money at all. Incidentally, this is one weak point of people. Since they love their money too much, for them anybody who asks even a penny is a crook. My guru, they say, is the highest samadhi person. He is such a great person. He is the greatest god. Number four, miracles unfortunately are the greatest attractions. Curing diseases, bringing out a car out of the finger, making an aeroplane without anything in the hand, all these things attract people. And that's the reason why Christian missionaries are converting thousands by faking miracles. Yogic powers are different, miracle mongering is absolutely different. People don't understand that. Number 5, commercial success. Thanks to advertising skills, everyone becomes a world famous Baba or Mata now. So there are numerous avatars. So who is an avatara? We are all mortals. Mortals are jivas with finite lives, finite capabilities, and finite powers. This we should remember always. We are born and we die like the millions of other species on this earth. We are born due to our past karma. We are forced to suffer here. We are forced to take birth and endure and die. We may pride ourselves to be Hercules or Superman on earth, but there is a Hindi couplet which says, Bahuveer huye, balwan huye, kitne na mahipat man huye. How many have been there like us? There were countless Alexanders the Great on this earth, all mortals. Avatars are not mortal. Avatars are different. Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yoveti tatvatah. Krishna says in the Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam. My life and birth, my actions are all different, divine. Avatara comes out of his or her own sweet will and goes back. He or she can grant illumination by a mere glance. And there are the six qualities like Aishwarya, Dharma, Yashas, etc. For one thing, if we mention these scriptural technicalities about avatars, people will not understand, and school children who nominate avatars will say, our Mataji, our Babaji also has more than these qualities and they are greater avatars. So there is no hope at all. The one great problem with dharma is anybody can manipulate it. So now, the best thing to do is to compare avatar, the ideal avatar, with something known to everybody in recent times. Let's see. At least some people use computers even now and remember the hard disk. When the first hard disk came, it had just about 2.5 MB, megabytes capacity. Then it was 5 megabytes. That was a huge thing for those days. Now 20 terabytes is the highest capacity of a hard disk, and that's the difference. Or let's say the difference between a supercomputer and an ordinary computer. A supercomputer, engineers say, has 300 quadrillion flops, floating point operations per second. Compare this with a simple calculator, they say, which works with 10 flops, that's all. 100 quadrillion flops per second and 10 flops. An ocean and a cup of water. That is the difference between the avatara and us mortals, though we may appear to have similarities physically. Why do we say that a true avatara is such and such? A real avatara leads hundreds or thousands of human lives in just one lifetime. He is a combination of thousands of lives in one personality. The works of the avatara, their sadhana, their achievements, their spiritual experiences, their words, their glorious lives, everything is beyond human capabilities. One Krishna is a composite manifestation of innumerable human lives. One Sri Rama was a combination of thousands of human lives put together. The simple meaning of this is, no mortal, jiva, however rich or powerful, do or achieve or attain so many things in just one life like an avatara does. The famous example given is, if an elephant enters a little pond, water spills out everywhere. If it enters an ocean, nothing happens at all. The ocean is unperturbed. The avatara is the ocean in human form. The mortal jiva is a little pond or a cup of water, that's all. Humans may pretend to be avatars, but they just fizzle out. Avatara is remembered for ages and venerated. Thousands of kings have come and gone. Millions upon millions have died. Millions have taken birth. Hundreds of species have changed. Worlds have changed. Everything has changed. But the world always remembers Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna. These avatars did not care what the world called them, avatara or whatever. They did their work and were gone. The greatest authorities on these subjects, the greatest scholars of the times, the greatest illumined souls studied these avatars thoroughly for years and declared that they are the avatars, not sycophants, not school children, but the greatest of scholars. Swami Vivekananda, who by reading the encyclopedia just once could completely memorize it, of such tremendous capabilities, an illumined soul, Shiva himself, one of the Saptarshis, studied Sri Ramakrishna's life for decades, remember. He examined him thoroughly and declared that Ramakrishna was not just an avatar, but the very source from which avatars descend. Such was the power that came this time. Sri Ramakrishna manifested the 5,000 years of the entire human aspiration for truth in just one life. Not everybody can give verdicts about cardiac surgery because we are not doctors. So with the avatars, only a Vivekananda can do that. Only the sages in the forest who lived only on roots and fruits could judge Sri Rama. What about the fish, the tortoise, and other avatars? Hindu Dharma accepts them as avatars since the Puranic age. And now people are realizing that these are all Darwinian principles proven long ago. In any case, up to the Vamana Avatara, the avatars mentioned are somewhat special, unique, even Parashurama. From Rama, we know the nature of the avatars: glorious, divine at human, supremely powerful, leading thousands of lives within one lifetime. That was the glorious Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya also, and Sri Ramakrishna. Finally, why should we adore or worship the Avatara? Avatara is the window from which we see the universe called God. To understand what God is, or Ishvara is, or Parameshvara is, the only window for us to see is the Avatara. The greatest manifestation of God is the Avatara. Thus, by understanding the Avatara, we realize the truth and we know ourselves. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much. Namaste.